Hello, and thank you for stopping by to watch my video. Today is Tuesday, February 16, 2021, and my name is Lena Kiers from Inspired Creations. I'm a Canadian independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And today I really wanted to go over some different ways that we can use the Gilded Leafing. It's such a neat product, and it needs a little bit of instruction for people to feel comfortable with it. So that's what I plan to do today. So I'm going to be making these 3 cards, and they show different ways that I use the Gilded Leafing. This one I stamped it on as the accent piece of the art gallery flower. This one was actually done with glue. Now that's not my favorite because I don't like putting my stamps into glue. This one I masked the design with VersaMark and then used the heat and stick. And this one I used the tear and tape kind of adhesive. So you just make strips across. And then this here, the greeting again is just done with VersaMark and heat and stick. And then I did a couple of other things that I didn't make into cards. But here I took the same kind of tape and I just made a pattern with it, but I wasn't too happy about my crosses, like where it intersected. But I would try that again. I think that's still a valid way of using it. And then this way, I just used my seal and made a line across, but it turned out really crooked. So I'm going to try it today, but I drew a line and we'll see how that looks. So just try a few different things to see how you can use this. So bear with me. We're going to start with this little flower here. So I did as much as I could ahead of time, so won't spend too much time doing other things besides the gilding. So I used the art gallery stamp set for the flower. And so I've done these 2 parts. And with the Gilded Leafing, I'm going to do this accent one over top of the flower. And then I used the Painted Textures embossing folder to make this layer. So this layer is 5 by 3 3/4. And the Seaside spray is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So that will just be a very thin layer around there. And the regular cardstock is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So we can just quickly put those layers together because they really don't have too much to do with the technique. So, oh, I just put a new one in here. Oh, it would help if I did it straight. Come down just a little bit. Okay. This is a really pretty embossing folder. I've been using it a lot. Okay, so that's our basic card. Now, I just brought this along in case I mess this up. But I'm not going to use the glue. I'll leave that with you for information. All you need to do is make a little puddle of glue here, put your stamp in the glue, and stamp it on there, and then do your leafing. But I really don't like getting glue on my stamps. So I tried it once, and I thought, no, that's not for me. Okay, so I'm going to make both of these pieces ready so we can open this box once. It's like opening Pandora's box because this stuff is so static, it just kind of goes whoosh. And because we're stamping with the photopolymer, I'll just stamp on here. Okay. And I've got my my heat and stick right here. So I believe I'm good to go. Okay, so just line this up the best that you can. It's kind of hard when I can't put my head right over it, but I think this will be pretty close. And you want to make sure it's got that VersaMark well pressed into there. And I kind of unsnap this lid because when you snap it, things go flying. So I'm a little premature with that. We need to put the powder on first. Better put the lid on while I use the heat tool. Sorry for the noise, but I just want to show you the steps how this works. Cover everything back up. So as soon as you see the powder melt, you stop. A little bit more. And then you're just going to stick it right in here. Okay, I'm just going to let that sit while I stamp this other part. Okay, we'll make this one Happy Birthday. And again, use the heat and stick. And I like to use a box so I don't burn too much on my desk. And then we'll stick that in here too. Okay, move this out of the way. So I can bring this in and you can see what I'm actually doing. So I'm just pushing them down into the gold flakes. And then you see a lot of stuff hanging on there. So basically you can just pull some of that off and then use kind of a stiff brush. This is one for stenciling. And you're gonna have to work at this a bit, especially the letters, because they're so small, the spaces are so small in between. Trying to get the spaces out of the P's there. Oh, a little space here for birthday. And I'll just take just to separate those two letters. Okay, now my flower. Let's see how that turned out. So you get the gilded leafing in a plastic jar, but you can't work with it from the jar. You have to put it in a bigger container because it just would make a huge mess. So I just had this container in my cupboards, and I thought that will be perfect. You need the container to be big enough to put your cardstock right in there. And you'll see with one of the other cards that I'm doing that I need a bigger space because I'm putting a whole piece of cardstock in it, well, a card front. Okay, so that's pretty nice. So that really accents the flower here, and then we can put that together. You see how it sticks to the lid, and I've tried to clean off the lid, and every time I put it back, something flies to the top again. So I'm not snapping it shut because we'll need it some more. Okay, so there's my flower pieces. Oh, that looks pretty. We'll just use some dimensionals to stick this on. It's not really so much about making the card as to how you can use the gilded leafing. I just like to use my poker to get all these things off. Okay, so now we want to have room for the tag underneath. So I'll put that in place to just give myself some idea of the space. That should be good. That should be good. There we go. And I just tied a little knot with this. I chose this ribbon because it has the gold on it, which kind of matches what I'm doing with the rest of the flower. And I'll just use a glue dot. Oh, yeah, there. Push that in. And there we go. Then a couple more dimensionals on here. And there we have it. So this was all done with the VersaMark and the heat and stick. It's a pretty card, isn't it? So we'll put that one aside. Cover things up again for a minute. Let's do this one next. So this is this one here. So when I did this card here, I actually did not use the gilded leafing on this. I just used the gold embossing powder. But there's a difference in color, so I wanted to use something that I could use this on, and it's kind of a small lettering there, so I'm using from the Itty Bitty Birthdays, I'm using this one, and we'll see how that turns out. That's a little bit bigger. Hopefully that will be fine. Okay, so my layers, this one is a vanilla card, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. This layer is again 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, and this is 5 by 3 3/4. Now this is the one I want to do this on, but as you can see, this is an oval shape. So the mask is not oval shape. The mask is just a 6 by 6 kind of shape. And in this decorative masks, there's a few different kinds. There are 4 masks in here. So polka dots and all the trees. And then this is a pretty one too. But I thought I would use this one because this lends itself quite well to being in an oval. So I cut a piece of just computer paper that's the same width, a little bit longer, so I could kind of wrap it around so it's going to stay in place. Then I have to center where you want your design to be. So I thought putting a whole one at the top would be nice. Could come down a little bit more. I still have a whole one in the bottom there. And center it this way. And I think we are good to go. So now we're just going to press this right in here to get to the paper. You have to press a little hard, and you're going to have to wash this mask afterwards. Let's see if I lift it up. Yes, I can see that design quite well. Okay, so we'll put that away. Now we'll cover it with this. My container's a little small for bigger paper like this, but I think those two dots were the part of the design above it, but okay, so we'll put this away. And we're going to heat this one as well. Oh, see, I've got gold all over the place already. And this one you can see better that it just kind of, the whiteness disappears. And then it's good to go. Take the lid off carefully. You do slow movements with this because any airflow makes the stuff kind of just whoosh. Okay, you don't need to leave it in there for any length of time like I did with the first one, just for convenience, not because I needed to. So just keep brushing until your pattern appears. Make too much movement here. Okay, that rest of that's all static. That's holding that in place. Whoops, wrong lid. Let's put the correct one on. Here we go. Okay, now I'm just going to take some paper towel that I've got here, or a cloth, anything like that would be good, just to kind of clean off the rest. There we go. Well, I think that's going to need a wash afterwards. Okay, so then we can finish this card. Now I use the detailed trio punch just to do little holes in the corner. That's very optional. You don't need to feel you need to do that. Oh, I didn't use the right one, so we're going to make this one a little different. We're going to use the corner rounder on it. There we go. Well, they don't all have to be the same, do they? Oh, and I guess I didn't really need to glue this on just yet because I still have to put the birthday words on. Okay, we'll do that right now. I'm going to use these birthday words. I'm going to put them down to the bottom a little more so it gives me room for the ribbon. and the heating stick. That's good. Just a few little flecks here that I don't want. I'll heat that again. Bring her box back in. I guess I could have done it all in one step, but I just don't want that heating stick to dry up on me before I can put it in the gold. The A is not quite clear yet. I think you can read quite well that that says happy birthday. Okay, put that away again. And now we'll just layer it on the card. And again, a glue dot for the bow. It's not really a bow, it's just a knot. We'll put a second one on here. There we go. So, which way do you like it better? I think I actually like the little cutouts better myself. But I do like this happy birthday that it matches. And it's just a little bit bigger. I would kind of feel this is a masculine card, but it doesn't have to be. Anyway, that's that one. So, masking and as a layering technique there. And now we're going to do this one here. Okay, here's the one I showed you. Here it is. Okay, so this one is a little tricky just to get all the lines straight in there. So I'll show you how I did that. And maybe you'll find a better way that works for you, but this worked for me. So what I did, the first time I did it, I just used the die, and it's from the Stitch So Sweetly. The biggest rectangle here is the one I used. And I just die cut this. And then I started putting the tape across, and of course it goes past. And I thought, well, that wasn't very smart. Now I have to do something to get all these little, so I had to die cut it again. So this time I just cut the paper a little bit bigger than this, so that once I've got all the taping done, then I can die cut it once and not have to worry about the second time. Okay, so there's still room all the way around. Now I'll show you how, whoops, excuse the noise. just knocked my coffee over. Good thing it wasn't in a cup. Okay, so need more space. I used my measuring mat here to do this. So I wanted to get all these angles kind of the same. So what I did, I just picked a point here and then follow that line up to here. So it's the 5-inch line. And then let's see. Okay. Then I just used a ruler, and these are the measurements I did. So start at the 5-inch line. You can pick any line you want. There's no significance to that. But I did 3/4 of an inch in between. Now, I didn't necessarily start at a 3/4 inch. I just started at the 4.5-inch line going across here. So then using these lines as a guide, and actually I stuck this in place so it wouldn't move on me, just some washi tape, just top and bottom. And then I made my pencil lines. So I did at 4.5, then down to 3 3/4. I did it again, and then 3-inch, and then 2 1/4, and then 1.5 down here, and then 3/4. So I've got all those lines on there, and I'm going to cover just the edge of each line so I don't have to even erase anything. So I think we can just leave that right there. Actually, I'm going to put it on here so that the glue won't stick to anything else. Probably won't stick to this either. Okay. Now, where did I put my tear tape? There we go. Okay, it helps me if it's kind of straight on there. So I decided I would just cover the bottom of this. And you can just tear it or cut it, whatever you're comfortable with. So I'm just covering the very edge of that tape at the bottom here. You can decide to do it at the top. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. And this helps you get nice straight lines. And it also makes the distance in between kind of equal. Oh, gotta make sure you go right off the paper though. See, if you don't go, sorry, am I out of your sight here? Okay, if you don't go all the way across, like you would get a little gap here. So you want to make sure your adhesive tape is right off this designer paper. And by the way, this is the Oso Ombre designer paper. And that was my last line there. So I just chose a part of the 6x6 and cut out 3 inches by 4 1/4. And then that will fit inside the die. So I am going to just trim off this tape though, because otherwise when I die cut it, it's going to be stuck to my plates. So it's easier to do that from the back, because then you can see that you're not cutting the paper. Okay. Okay, so now before I do any gilding, I'm going to die cut it. So I'll be back in just a second. go. So there's the die cutting done. Now we have to pick this off very carefully. And because of the stitching here, it may come off in pieces. Some parts will, some parts, oh, look at that, came off in one piece. And while you're doing this, you can think about whether you want the darker side at the top or the darker side at the bottom. I think I did it the darker side at the bottom, so like the light is coming this way. So this whole part was lighter. Maybe this time I'll turn it around and have the darker part at the top. Okay, so you can still faintly see my pencil lines, but I think once because I did it like this, yeah. But once the gilding is on, hopefully that will all be gone. So we don't need the heat and stick this time because this is the stickiness that will hold the gilding in place. Okay, slowly take the lid off. And just make sure that there's gilding all over the bottom. And we'll just stick it in place. And you really want to kind of push this into the glue, all the edges as well, or into the flakes, I mean. Maybe move it around a bit, make sure there's flakes everywhere. Okay. You can use your hands to remove this if you want. You can use a brush like I did. You can devise your own ways. But when I get most of it off, I'm just going to push it down again on my tabletop, my desktop. To make sure everything is sticking well. Okay, let's just put this in. Make sure it's all securely stuck in place. See what I mean? It hangs onto everything. So don't do this on a hot, sticky day when you've got an overhead fan going, because that would be a disaster. Once it's stuck down, it seems to be able to take the brush just fine. If it's not smooth, you probably have a couple of layers of leaves there that just need to be brushed off. Okay, don't make too much wind. Oh boy. Okay. See, so now you can see all your scalloping here, your scalloped edges. Give it a wipe with something else to remove all the tiny little flakes. And I'll just shoot this in my garbage, which is under my desk. There, that worked better than using the silicone mat. Okay, so now we've got this piece done and we're ready to do the flower. So I wanted to do the flower while you were watching because I didn't use the ink pad for this. I'm using markers and a spritzer, and it's pretty quick. So now I want to show you the difference between two pieces. I was going to use Daffodil Delight with the Melon Mambo, but then I got this brownish stuff in there. I didn't like that. So now for this one, I used Mango Melody. So it's a bit more orangey, but it doesn't have those brown tones in there. So this is just going in the garbage because I don't like this one at all. Okay, so I colored it using, you have to use markers, not blends, because blends are alcohol and that dries very fast. But this is water-based and you can spritz this a bit and you get a watercolor look to it. So using the brush end and the side of the brush, just color over the flower very quickly. Do your lightest color first because you're going to go over it with your second color and you don't want to taint your second color. So that's the darker one. So red is usually, this has red in it, so that's usually a darker color. So now I'm just doing the top edges and I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just going over the edges. And when I spritz it, it will just do its thing. So if you want a little bit on the bottom, you can do that. Okay, just maybe wipe that off in case it picked up any of the mango. And then I need the brush. This is Old Olive, and I'm doing the leaves with that. Maybe these are little buds that are still closed. Okay, and then there are a few little branches, stems, not branches, stems in here. There. Okay, now let's move everything out of the way. And we'll just take one of the really small spritzers here. Make sure you got the hole facing down. So the hole is here about a foot away, 12 inches away, and just spray it maybe twice. Oh, that one hardly got it. I think that's probably enough. And then we're going to just take it over here and we'll just stamp and let it soak in for a bit so those colors can blend. And this is what we got. It blended a little bit more there. I maybe spritzed a bit more water on it, but this is pretty too. So now we just have to die cut this. Where did I have the set? Right here. And I actually use washi tape a lot. I just put it in place. And this is the same washi tape I've been using many times over. Make sure your little stem is sticking through the space here. And then it doesn't move when I'm putting it through the machine here. Peel this back carefully. You don't want to remove any color. There. And now the flower is done. I actually used a little bit of Wink of Stella. I'm a sucker for Wink of Stella. I like just the subtle sparkle. So I'm going to do that again. Flowers should always sparkle a little bit. So isn't that a quick and easy way to get some color into your flower? Okay, we're going to put dimensionals underneath this layer here. So I'm just using glue dots to put the flower on. Okay, I just had them. Probably laying right in my line of vision. Oh, yes, underneath something. Here we go. I tie a ribbon around here so my glue dots don't just start unwinding. I find it very helpful. Maybe another one over on the other side. There we go. Do you need to think of anything else? That's about right. Okay, dimensionals on this. Oh, here they are. When I'm working, everything gets moved around and then I can't find the things I'm looking for. Oh, I forgot to see if I put it the right way. Yes, I did put the dark at the top, like I said I would. I should have put that on the card first. Here we go now. I did bring a label, I thought. Or did I did. Okay, so here I just did it right on the card. I was thinking of doing it this way. Maybe that will be okay. Okay, so we'll do the happy birthday on here. And like I said, this was done with glue. I wasn't that pleased with it. So I'm just going to do it with the VersaMark and the heat and stick. Oh, this is so tiny, I have to hold it down with a poker. I'm seeing gold flying around the room here. Oh, don't breathe too hard. This is fun stuff. I just want to push this down. And I'll take my brush to it. If you do end up deciding to try the glue, as soon as you are done, you have to clean your stamp. Don't let it lay around because you'll get the glue in all the little crevices and that won't want to come out. So either have a bowl of water close by that you can just put it in, or take it right to the sink and clean it up. Okay. Just the A here is not giving me the space in the center. Okay. Put that away then. And we'll add just a couple of dimensions to this as well. Dimensionals. Okay, and I know I had a bowl. Oh, here it is. I always like to use glue dots on my bows. It's a really good way of sticking them down. And there we go. So, what do you think? Do you like it better without the white or with the white? You can decide what you would like to do when you want to make this card. Something's just a little bit ragged there. Okay, it's very pretty, isn't it? And these gold lines really do add to the ombre paper. Okay, now there's one more thing that I was going to show you. So I didn't do a very good job there. That was just a rough try. So we could use a wider one, or we could use the same one. Here it is. So I'm not making anything out of this, but if you can just follow the line, I think you'll get it straighter than my first attempt was. And then you just want to cut that off at the back. Poke this off. So this could be like along the edge of your card or something. Not on this card, obviously, but just I just want to show you. Oh, you know what? I didn't use this. Okay, so we're going to do it the other way. I need to draw another line. Pencil. Okay, we'll just connect the dots here. There, and this is what I was going to use. So whether you want to put that in the middle think maybe if I come down this way, I can see where I'm going. I'm still going crooked. This is not going to be a method that I'll use a lot myself because I can't seem to make it go straight. I have that tape on the back, so. Let's see, again, it's very crooked. But it's a possibility. It's something else that you can try and see if it works for you. And otherwise, you can just not use the seal. You can use the tear and tape. That gives you a little bit more control, I find. But it could be a nice added element to a card using one or the other. And then this one, I'm not going to do it again, but I just put tape across. And what I didn't do, the reason I got the bumps in the corners, because I didn't pull off the top layer. So put a layer down, pull this off, okay? And same thing here. And then when you cross, you won't have things lifting up like I had here. So there you go. You can try a few things yourself too. So these are the cards that we made today. This one, and this one. I hope you like them. Let's move this out of the way. And if you are in need of a demonstrator, here's all my information. My Facebook page, facebook.com/Inkspiredcreations. This is my store, lenakeers.stampinup.net. And there's my code for February. So thank you again for stopping in. I hope you learned a couple of things, and I enjoyed spending some time with you. Bye-bye.